Hello. Going to do a short video on competition expectations, competition assessments. I try to go over this fairly regularly with parents and skaters, and apparently some people aren't getting the message. Generally, when I rate whether a competition is successful or unsuccessful, I divide it into 4 different criteria: preparation, execution, results, goal setting. And the goal setting is kind of based on the other 3 things, mostly execution. By far, execution is the most important thing. You should be worried about it at competition, but I'll briefly go over the other 4. I might elaborate on them in a separate video, but for now I'm just going to briefly do those 4 things. Preparation could mean a lot of things, but when it comes to assessing whether a competition is successful, I'm basically just talking about competition day. Did everything go smoothly? Did the whole process go smoothly? If it didn't go smoothly, now a lot of coaches, first of all, a lot of coaches are very good at this, and they focus a lot on the preparation part because they think it directly impacts the execution, or that poor preparation will drastically affect the execution. I don't find that. And there's a lot of things out of the coach's control, out of my control, and out of my skater's control when it comes to preparation, like is the schedule running on time, ice conditions, temperature, a whole variety of things are out of your control. Now, a lot of it's in your control. So I don't tend to worry about preparation. It's probably there are definitely coaches out there who are better at preparation than me. I don't consider it to be an effect on the skating at all. If you're somebody who can roll with the punches and stay relaxed and calm and even keel the whole time, preparation is not that important for that reason. There is a second reason I think it's important. I think if you have poor preparation and you have things going wrong all the time and you're having to scramble and panic and get stressed, it can make a competition less enjoyable, or you can leave the competition with a less enjoyable feeling regardless of your skate and your results. So for that reason, I think it's somewhat important. I think over time, if every competition is kind of a hassle, or there's things going wrong all the time that could be avoided, then you eventually develop a more and more negative attitude towards competitions all the time. But again, preparation is not the largest reason for that. It's the other reasons. The second category is execution. That's basically how well you do the competition, the program. It doesn't really include warm-up. It's basically just what you're judged on. And as I've said in previous videos, and I think to everyone in person, my kids tend to do very, very well, like above average as far as execution goes, which is why I don't obsess so much about preparation. Most of our goal setting is based on execution. What are you going to land? What are we going to try to land? What are our various things we're going to try to succeed on doing during your skating in the solo. Hold your spins long enough, hold your spirals long enough, hold your landings, skate hard, do good presentation on cross cuts, etc., etc. A bunch of things that are execution oriented. The vast majority of concern of the skater and me should be on the execution, because that's the thing we can most control. Most of the other stuff is somewhat out of our hands. So like 85–90% of your focus, of your expectations, of your goal setting, of your mood going in and out of the competition should be based on execution. Your planning should be around execution. Third thing is results. Now, a lot of people emphasize results. A lot of kids do, especially kids and parents. Results are way less important than the execution. If we're setting our goals right and we're executing our goals, and then we end up with surprising results, usually surprisingly worse than you're expecting, that's not a bad thing. You've done all the things under your control. The judging is not under your control. That's a learning experience that you have to have from competition to competition, whether or not your expectations on results were reasonable or not. And there are judging errors now and then, and there are competition errors, and there are years where your competitors will be extra weak, and there are years where your competitors will be extra strong, and so your expectations on results going in might be a little skewed based on what you think the field is going to be. So results really should be not, you can do some goals based on results, especially if you're in CPC or even in the other one, skating just standard. I mean, you can have goals about, I would like to get several gold elements. I would like to get a certain, above a certain score. But you don't know if that score is going to have you placed first, third, or fifth. To some extent, I know. I would definitely know more than anyone else. But even, again, there's always surprises from competition to competition. So I try to stick with execution as far as my focus, not results. You have to be aware of results, and you have to keep track of results to give you an ongoing picture of what the execution will give you. But you should never be focused on results, because as soon as you lose focus on the execution, you don't have anything. Fourth is goal setting. Now, goal setting, I've kind of gone through it in this whole video. You should come into competitions based on how well you were able to prepare, how old your solo is, how well you've been skating your solo, whether you're injured, whether you're sick, whether you have blisters, whether, there's 100 different factors affecting your goal setting, and that should all go into expectations on execution. You can have some results expectations, but at the beginning of the year, especially at the first competition, if you haven't competed in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, you really shouldn't have any expectations for results, because you don't know what the field is like in that particular year. If it's your first competition, you're not really mentally, you don't have all the knowledge you need to be able to focus on results. You should really only be focused on expectations, on execution. Expectation of execution. Executional expectations. And I should do a bunch of videos on goal setting, but goal setting, you should not be accomplishing all your goals, or you haven't set your goals high enough. You should not be accomplishing none of your goals. I think I've said this in several other videos, or you're setting your goals too high or unreasonably. Generally it's nice to have about a 70%, 80% success rate on goals. And as you knock off goals, you then tack on new goals, new harder goals. You should usually go into competitions with anywhere between 2 and 5 goals. Again, mostly based on execution. And that's it. I think that's all I have to say about competition assessments.